Monet once said, "You must be of your time and paint what you see." Monet was a realist painter. The street singer was painted as a woman was leaving a tavern holding a guitar. Monet went straight up to her and asked her to pose for him. As if she was a statue, the model looks into the distance with a blank face, kind of how a musician admires the audience after a show. This parody photo depicts myself in the same pose, wearing a more modern hat, modern comfortable clothing, and a modern comforting snack, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
This is my interpretation of a vanitas painting. The purpose of a vanitas painting is to orient the viewer towards the spiritual and away from the worldly. My hope is that using modern goods will make the genre of painting more relatable to the viewers of today. On the laptop we see a classical vanitas painting which features the flowers representing the fleetingness of life, also represented by the real flowers on the table, a skull which represents death, and an hourglass which represents the fleetingness of life, also represented by the modern wristwatch on the table. In the background, a disused bicycle, which represents the modern attitude of image over action. On the table, a postcard, which represents the modern desire to gather experiences. We also see a leather handbag, which represents the modern goods that we lust after. On the laptop is a compass as an homage to the Dutch painters who originally started the genre.
I decided to do my parody art on a young girl reading, which was painted by a Fraga nerd during the Rococo era. A characteristic of the Rococo era artwork was self-indulgence. In this case, a girl is seeking pleasure from something she enjoys, which is reading. With my recreation of the original painting, I tried to dress similarly with a white bow and a yellow dress. However, I added a little twist. A modern-day social issue is that many of us are quick to believe everything we see and hear, no matter how ridiculous it is. In the book I am reading, it features many news article headings that are clearly false.
Henry Tanner painted the Banjo Lesson in 1893 after a series of sketches he made while visiting the Blue Ridge Mountains in North Carolina 4 years before. As discussed in class, the Banjo Lesson depicts an older male slave and a young boy slave sitting on his lap. At first glance, this looks like a grandfather teaching his grandson how to play the banjo, but the children of slaves belonged to the plantation owner, and the child would have likely been sold to another plantation. In my twist of the Banjo Lesson, I chose to address the social issue that millennials face. Out of all generations in the workplace, millennials are struggling the most when it comes to their finances due to high student loan debt and lack of savings. As you can see, this much older boy is sitting on his father's lap, representing millennials relying on others to be financially stable.
I chose to recreate The Blind Leading the Blind by Bruegel, but with a modern twist. Bruegel was a Flemish artist and part of the Northern Renaissance. The 6 blind men are holding shared walking sticks and are shown at the moment when their leader stumbles into a ditch. This is a visual representation of Christ's parable from Luke 6:39, in which Christ says, "Can the blind lead the blind? Shall they not both fall into the ditch?" This also relates to one of the themes of the Northern Renaissance, which was the concentration and observation of human corruption. For my recreation, the individuals are not physically blind, however they are blinded by the modern societal problem, which is technology and social media. In today's society, social media and technology often create a vacuum void, an echo chamber of sorts, where people run to be with like-minded people and have their ideas supported, where there is no opposition. This creates group thinking and takes away the individual's ability to think critically for themselves. In other words, it is the antithesis of a hermeneutics of suspicion. This picture tries to depict this by showing these 6 individuals being so wrapped up in their technology that they don't notice where the sidewalk ends, and ultimately they fall.